In a 1995 lecture on Exodus chapter 5, Dennis Prager notes it's very difficult, not impossible, to love God and to love humanity at the same time. Because if you really love people, then you cry so much for their pain that it's difficult to love God. And if you're really intoxicated with your love of God, it can come at the price of feeling the pain of human beings. If you really feel their pain, you'll have to raise questions about God. So there have been people who've loved God and could torture people because they were able to separate the two. They were just so in love with God that they torture people if they didn't have the right theological beliefs. Now, if you only love human beings, you'll end up with moral chaos, because where does good and evil come from if not a transcendent source of morality such as God? If you only love God, you'll also end up with moral chaos, because you won't care so much about the suffering of humanity. Now, Dennis says, you spend 8 hours a day studying Torah. Those are hours you could have been spending visiting the sick. If you love man as much as you love God, how is your ratio 10 to 1 in terms of time spent in serving God? Anyone who argues that studying Torah serves humanity argues in mystical terms that I can't relate to. In real terms, no other human beings are benefiting, says Dennis Prager. According to Prager, the three monotheistic faiths have gone overboard with love of God at a price. If you're a married parent, how much time do you spend with your spouse versus how much time with your children? I think wives and mothers do this more than husbands and fathers. You can love your children so much of your time that it can deflect from your love for your spouse. Dennis says he grew up Orthodox and it was taken for granted that every Jew who died in the Middle Ages because he would not convert to Christianity was a martyr sanctifying God's name. And they were martyrs sanctifying God's name. Dennis says when he had his first child, he started seeing them differently. As a single young man, martyrdom was clearly the option to take. Somebody said to me today, accept Exeter or we will kill your family. I don't know what I'd do. Am I going to say, sure, kill me, my wife, and my children? Dennis says, I'm agnostic on that question. If I spent all of my time studying Torah and neglecting my kids, I could say I chose God over my family.